Hey everybody, what's up? It's Booksy. Today is Tuesday, December 12th. Me doing a quick update for AMC. So they had announced last night that the dilution had ended and they did raise money, talked about paying off some debt, and then the rest of it, I guess, is just cash on hand, increasing their position. On the whole, the setup looks okay. Yesterday was kind of strange. We came down pretty low, checked more or less that 672 area again, which has been a frequent test for us. It's not unusual. I mean, the line was on the chart, yada, yada, yada. I also think that probably, without going into too much detail, this lower check here was indeed the test on that head and shoulder expansion. I had this line up for a while, and I was thinking about that fractal that I talked about in the longer video, and mainly just the idea that when you get across the main creek, usually you see this kind of head and shoulder action, and then it sometimes will come down to that baseline and then react. It seems to be what's happening. In addition to that, I mentioned that this is kind of like an old school pattern where you've got sort of this. I want to go back to regular trading hours for just a minute, where you have this kind of like mountain or this like volcano and then this mountaintop. You can look at it like maybe this is just part of a bigger one, and whatever. I think it's simple enough because you can see the double M shape here, M1 and then M2, and then the bigger one is a giant M, and then you're forming even a larger M, and you can kind of see how that would play out here. So if this is one of them and this is pressing up against resistance, then this could be support on resistance. So I do think that at this point, we're in good shape in terms of like support as long as this holds right here. Okay. This is also the way I've drawn it. You can see it's a creek, but I think it's more than that. I think it's a very close representation of what we see here. Although on this one, the larger picture, I don't think we've quite gotten there yet. It looks more like 730. I find that to be kind of like a non-issue because we already knew that it needed to come up to 730 and show support at some point, or break out at some point. And if it doesn't do that, that's a likely place that you're going to redistribute. So kind of makes sense no matter which chart I'm using. I think that overall the news is good with CPI data coming out this morning, FOMC on Wednesday. I think PPI is later in the week. I can't remember exactly which day. Maybe Thursday. Those things are going to have an impact on stock movement across the board. We are in a bit of a Santa rally across the market. You wouldn't necessarily feel that way on AMC, but we definitely could see it on the broader market. So will it continue, into the new year? I think that's the big question everyone's asking. If the numbers come back and they're kind of what's expected, I think the market probably will continue its rally. If they're not what's expected, we may see a quick reversal. SPY is definitely positioned in a place where it's gotten very overbought on a higher time frame and things like that. So not the highest, but like on the daily and stuff, it's been teetering on the edge the whole last few weeks, the whole couple months we've been watching it and thinking about where it might turn if it does turn. This is very simple to me. I think you need to make sure that it doesn't come back down below like 7 again. We battled all of yesterday. It would be really kind of painful to see it come back through there. Obviously, that would be a bit of a weakness. As far as an S-curve goes, if this is an S-curve, we might estimate again, 736. That's kind of been the target. I had a lower target yesterday for this head and shoulder right here. There's an inverted head and shoulder breakout. It only comes up to like 716. I think it's fairly like synchronized with the downtrends that we've been experiencing. So if you go back and you kind of look at these downtrends, you can see these creek crosses have been all pretty much identical. Well, I got this drawn a little bit wide, but you get the idea. So I think it's very close to being the same as those. So if it did come up, it could be that we do have a reaction back down today. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all going into Wednesday if it went more sideways. I also wouldn't be surprised if we saw another iteration. So I didn't post it, but I did a video on it last night. You guys are like, what? But basically, this S curve down is like a shallow S curve, and then we've got like a 1, 2, 3, and then we've got another shallow S curve right here with a 1, 2, 3. Basically, you have that early creek cross, bigger reaction up, bigger reaction up. So when we're looking at this kind of stuff, we're trying to do our best to not necessarily count them, but just to sort of anticipate it. And I think that this is the one that we're kind of on right now, is this bigger one. The fact that this is a shallow drop here on the widening is good. It's a partial drop on the widening. Market just opened, so you're going to start seeing some movement. It's a partial drop, so if it does happen to go back up to the top here and break out, it's really strong. I think that you might see something similar though here as well, and I don't think it's beyond a question here. I think there's a strong possibility that this could be a top coming up here, and then you could end up with like a partial drop back down. We'll see how high it goes. It depends. But with that partial drop, I wouldn't be surprised if it came back pretty low. So if it does happen to make it up to like 724, for example, that would be pretty high, right, for this move. I think that for now, the idea of it coming back down to even 7 makes sense to me. And going into Wednesday, that could really give you like a slow burn setup where it does another iteration. So you definitely see this like kind of chop, down chop. You could see another down chop before Wednesday. If this were to break to the upside on this widening, I think that's a really positive sign that the next iteration up, which is this guy, would also potentially break up on the widening, go back to the top and break to the upside. Could be really strong. This is pretty similar to what we saw on SPY as it built itself out, where it had this drop and chop for several days, and then it popped back up to the top of that widening. So we'll see. I wouldn't take anything for granted right now going into this week. This week's going to be a big news week, so definitely want to keep your ear to the ground, so to speak, and just pay attention to the news. And then, the setup from here is very clean. If it manages to hold 7, I don't see why we don't go up pretty far. I think my targets were like 860s. I really do think we're going to get up to here, and then we'll see what happens. It could be much bigger than that. I've got a few different charts going right now. This is the general summary that I have. If we reject here and head back down and break down, I think we're going to probably head down to that 490 area. It's possible that we catch early at like the 630s, in like kind of a spring-like action. If this is indeed like a phase B and we've misjudged it, this could come down and reverse. Just doesn't seem super likely to me right now. It seems more likely to me is that, even if we drop to 681, if we can hold support, get back above 7, I think we're still going to probably go up first. And I still think 860s is a pretty decent target. It's got a lot of synchronization with this whole symmetry that's going on. It has a lot of price targets, like on the widening here, that's the price target basically. On this widening downward that we saw early on, the widening begins at like the 820s. So that again would be the target area. So, we've got a lot of targets between roughly 810 and 870. We've also got this 4-hour. You can see that would be a really clean retest of that 4-hour 180. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff up there that I think would be warranting that move, but you have to see it confirm. We're sort of like edging on it right now. Like we're right on the edge of confirmation. I don't feel like we've had a proper back test just yet. Yesterday was just kind of us walking across that little creek that we had here, and I think that you really want to see it find support, and I don't know if yesterday was enough. RSI makes it look like there was some kind of support found. It looks more like a pullback with support. This to me doesn't quite read that way. It could go either way, So from that point forward, I don't have a lot of other ideas. So right now, I'm really just thinking it's either going to be this kind of chop into Wednesday, or maybe we'll sit around 7 again, kind of pump up and then come back down around 7. It could be below there where it drops beneath 7, then comes back up right below it. Either way, into the midweek. And then I think we're going to kind of have to wait for that decision to be made. If it does advance earlier and it just has to find support above 726 again, and then I think it's going to probably go up to those upper areas that we talked about. And there's going to be stops along the way. You can see some liquidity gaps, in the middle here. It's not going to just go straight up as the crow flies. But that's it. That's all I got for you today. So just really key levels right around 7 today. I think we're looking at that 681. Again, that's been a pretty key area right here. High liquidity center is around 688. So we're really just chopping in the center right now. And we're waiting for confirmation up on and or down. But I think we're at this point right now where I'm feeling good about this break over 7. I think we just need to find support. We should head up. So that's all I got for you. Waiting for the news this week. I'll be out most of the day today, but I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.